I'm Lawrence Meeks. I'm a Carroll County cash grain, vegetable, and hay farmer. We have our own grain drying storage system. It's on 2 different farms that we own, and we rent ground in the area in 2 counties, one being Adams County, Pennsylvania, and one being Carroll County, Maryland. We farm about 2,600 acres with the double cropping that we do. We grow corn and wheat, soybeans, barley, some oats, and snap beans for processors. This farm I purchased. I grew up on the eastern shore of Maryland, and I came to this area after spending several years in agriculture at the University of Maryland. So I purchased this farm myself, and then I purchased 2 or 3 residual properties from development that were contiguous to this property and added them to it. I grew up on a dairy farm, but it was pretty general in that there was poultry involved, turkeys, chickens, ducks. There was also hogs involved. In the early 60s, my father started to switch into grain, sold the dairy herd, and we went into the production of corn, soybeans, wheat, and barley. I came into grain production in this county because the operations that I was fortunate enough to buy into were essentially going into grain production and didn't have much livestock involvement, so it was rather easy for me to continue that grain involvement. The major obstacle, I suppose, was money, trying to finance the purchase of a large amount of equipment and some land as well, and being a younger person without any kind of financial support from family or other sources, trying to fund the operation at its initiation was a major problem. We use a number of different ways to manage risk. We grow diversified crops, and we use different types of sales programs for those crops. We contract some grain before it's even planted, and then as the year progresses and we can watch what the weather does in particular, we can continue sales to a certain level that we feel comfortable with. Then beginning in the early to mid-90s, we began to get pretty actively involved with crop insurance. And then as crop insurance began to get more sophisticated, we were able to advance into the crop revenue coverage programs and get away from the CAT programs. And that really helped us to manage risk. The crop revenue coverage we use on all the grains that it's available for, and we use a multi-peril coverage for the green beans that we use for processing. We usually use 70 and 75%. Those levels seem to be where the subsidy is really beneficial for the farmer. The government is paying a higher percentage of the subsidy than they are at higher levels, and we're paying what I consider to be something that's usually more affordable at those levels. I think that anything you see as a problem, whether it's planting dates too early or too late, all kinds of different things you see in the policies, whether it's enterprise units, whole units, whether it's the CAT policies or the buy-up CRCs or some of the other GRIP policies that are all available, all of those I think can be tweaked to make them better serve farmers in some aspect. And I would definitely encourage anybody who's got a problem with his crop insurance policy to talk to his agent, and also consider talking to people at the Maryland Department of Agriculture who can help you. The real challenges right now basically center around the volatility in the sale of grains that we grow or products that we grow, and the cost of inputs. I think we may deal with some pretty extreme volatility in the near future. I don't know what 10 will bring or 11, but I don't look for the world economy to change too rapidly. I think we're not going to be changing things back to what they used to be again. I think the energy situation is quite volatile. I like to work outside, and I don't mind some inside work, but it seems like we do more of that than we used to. But I enjoy being outside, and I enjoy working with the various changes in the weather. And I like to be able to look at the wildlife and be my own boss as much as I can be. But with the way we work today, I really question how much you are your own boss anymore. I've always enjoyed being independent and more or less self-sufficient, and had the attitude that I could do whatever I really wanted to do. It was just a matter of how hard I had to work at it to get there. I think crop insurance is a must in today's world. I really wouldn't want to plant a crop without insurance with today's volatility. It's not a matter of choosing a certain level. It's a matter that you just must do it. There are so many unknowns that can affect your crop, and they're not all weather related. Some are wildlife related, and other types of damage can occur that cost you a lot of money, especially in today's cost of inputs. So crop insurance, I think, is one of the things you just ought to be a no-brainer. I like extension, and I've always supported extension and worked with extension. And I have definitely benefited from that program, and I continue to work with extension. I also think that there are lots of consultants available today that will help you in different areas that you might feel you're not as strong as you might be. If you could find a mentor that you could work with if you're a much younger person, it would be wise to have someone that you could talk to about what you're thinking and what you're planning, and probably somebody has already tried it and could give you some insight about the problems you might encounter that you haven't thought about. You will make mistakes, and it will cost you dearly. Try to manage risk in every fashion that you can dream of. Diversification of crops, diversification of enterprises. Learn how and where to sell your products, and try to shoot for an average that is better than your cost of production. That way you'll go from year to year and you'll remain in business and be able to grow. People that try to do too much contracting at one time with one crop a lot of times wind up in a lot of financial trouble. We have usually spread our sales out from one year into the next, and usually we have some unpriced crop that helps us survive downturns in income, because we'll usually sell a crop over about a year and a half of the calendar. We also use crop insurance, and we do have some amount of money that is saved for a rainy day fund that we use occasionally to help us get through periods of very low income. Farming's changing in Maryland, but it's changing all over the country. We have a lot of urbanization pressure, and with that, we farm a number of properties that are the residuals of farms that were developed. It is hard to maintain a large scale of grain production in areas like that. So diversification has helped us. We've gone a lot more into the hay business than we used to be, and that's been a good enterprise that we've added in the last 15 years. We're going to continue to see urbanization. We're going to continue to see small farm numbers probably grow. There are lots of those where people have off-farm jobs, and then they farm a small amount in wine or horses or all kinds of different enterprises that they enjoy doing. But the large-scale grain farming is going to be under pressure, and I think it's going to be here a long time, but it's one that seems to be taking the biggest hit because of other demand for land uses. Right. I would ask the Secretary of Agriculture to consider canceling the permanent part of the disaster bill that's part of the '08 Farm Bill and replace it with a highly subsidized crop insurance program to the point where every farmer would be interested in purchasing that program to manage his risk